Welcome back, friends. This is another patron-only video at the courses tier, also accessible to those of you who are at the private lessons tier. Welcome back. This will be about facilitation, and I've got a special bag of special goodies. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I just did a session. You know, every week I have at least one music therapy session with a group of people with traumatic brain injuries. That's not important for the topic. What this video is about is using unique instruments, interesting sounds that can also be funny, and introducing unique sounds into your music experience, whatever that is, to elicit creativity, to elicit interest, to elicit humor, laughter, make social connections, and just basically inspire people in a very inexpensive and convenient way, because believe it or not, I've got 6 or 7 instruments in here. Some of these you've seen. It's not about the instruments so much, although I will introduce them all. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about why I chose on this particular day to bring this little bag of weird sounds, because it's not just, you know, it's not just for curiosity's sake. I mean, there's reasons that we do all these things. So that's going to relate to the facilitation part of the discussion. So if you're a music educator, music facilitator, music therapist, a lot of these points that I'm going to talk about will be relevant to you, and you can use that, take it away, and you don't need the same instruments. But let's look at what we have in the bag. So first of all, this is just a little rattle. I've had this a long time. That's on a lot of recordings. I think it's even at the Yanni Live at the Acropolis. And then I have this, which is weird. It's like a party toy. I'll show you a couple ways to play that. I've got another one, which is a little bit different. Same type of thing. A little different sound. People like those. Those are kind of fun. I've also got, another one of these. Okay. I think this one was, this one needs a repair. We'll put that over there for right now. And then I had a couple interesting sounds, kind of fun sounds. That's like a bird whistle, bird call. And then I had this one, which is so if you practice those, if you practice playing that, you can make bird type sounds. This one, I couldn't show you in the close-up, but this one, it's kind of loud, but you can play it this way. And same with this one. So all of these instruments have a few things in common. One is that they're interesting. You know, they're not that common, except with each other. They're fun sounds, they're weird sounds, they're not typical, right? So they're atypical, and that can pique people's interest and expose them to things that they've never been exposed to before, which is cool, especially for my clients who are in a treatment facility and they are not exposed to new things so much. I mean, imagine they're going through the same things a lot of the time. So their lives can be somewhat mundane and feel repetitive and just feel like there's a lot of sameness. So in bringing instruments like this and music in general, I'm able to break that up and introduce something novel and also interesting to most people. Most people aren't exposed to these kinds of things. So for most people, they find it interesting, intriguing, and there's an element of curiosity and therefore discovery and experimentation. So that's one aspect. Another thing that I like about these instruments for people with, in this case, traumatic brain injury, but let's just put it in the category of people with physical limitations and needs and who are in physical therapy, among other therapies. Well, all of these instruments require like this pincher movement where you're grasping things. They require different kinds of coordination, twisting actions, spinning, planning, motor control. There's all kinds of things happening with that on a fine motor skills level. So by introducing these, it's different than playing a drum with a mallet, for example, which is not fine motor. That's more gross motor, right? Bigger, like it's arm movements, except for holding the mallet. But these really help people with their digits, and that transfers into skills for daily living, like feeding yourself, brushing your teeth, all kinds of things. So I know that by introducing instruments that require smaller muscle movements, I'm also able to address that needs area. But let's get to the real fun stuff. So that's all good stuff. But why else would I introduce these? Well, they're funny. They're fun sounds. And in music making and in music therapy, there's actually been papers written on this. I've done presentations on humor and laughter in music therapy. And humor and laughter are two different things, right? Humor is more of the intellectual, perhaps emotional part, and laughter is the overlap is emotional, but laughter can also just be a behavior. It can come from nervousness. There's nervous laughter. There's different reasons people laugh. But humor, of course, is the idea of well, what is humor? Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a juxtaposition of ideas that people find intriguing and exciting, and therefore then sometimes laugh at. So humor and laughter, you can come at that a number of different ways, but let me just talk about why I feel humor and laughter are important in therapy especially, but in any situation. Well, they're important in therapy because, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of therapeutic environments are somewhat sterile. They can be repetitive feeling. They're a little cold. Even with great staff members and everything, they can still feel, a little sterile. And humor and laughter can add a humane or human, humanitarian, humanistic, how many words can I think based on human? They can, humanize the experience, make it warmer, make it more fun, make it more appealing, make it more memorable, especially when you're laughing with people in a group, right? That creates a bond between members. It just creates opportunities. It kind of helps people put their guard down, relax, feel like they're there, with friends. And that has a big impact on people's mood, their current feeling state, their long-term feeling state, which is maybe more like mood, their self-concept, their concept of others, all kinds of sociological and emotional implications there. So it's not just, let's laugh because we like to laugh or laughing is good. There's a lot of benefits to laughter or humor, and especially in a group. So I hope you agree with that. That's been my experience. Of course, when you're introducing something about humor or laughter, there are some contraindications. For example, people might feel like if they do something and people laugh, they're laughing at them. So you need to be mindful of that dynamic. Sometimes people may not get the humor and they may feel left out of a joke. Jokes are often cultural, and meaning they can be cultural as in an ethnic group or a religious group or a national, a country. They can be those kinds of groups, or they could be a group of people with a certain type of disposition or need or orientation. So that's something that you have to be mindful of and manage. In general, we're not getting that specific with our jokes. So my experience has been that people haven't felt left out because, or even if they did, you could explain it. I mean, we don't like to have to explain the joke, but you can reframe the joke or reposition the humor in a way that maybe makes it understandable for a particular person who you feel might be getting left out of a joke, because a lot of humor is cultural, right? There's English humor, there's Indian humor, there's American humor, there's all kinds of like cultural or regional forms of humor. So not everybody is going to find the same things equally funny, equally humorous. But that being said, the benefit of having a sound like this is that it's, or to make a sound, is that it's just a funny sound. So we're not actually making jokes like a comedian. We're using sounds that are interesting and funny in and of themselves. They're just intrinsically kind of funny. Now, some people might not always interpret them as funny. That sound is a little creepy. In fact, I used that sound on a soundtrack for Halloween when I was doing a haunted house. Some sounds could be construed as sort of, kind of cute or sweet even. So, there's a range there, of course. I'm not saying all these sounds are going to be interpreted as funny for every single person, but there's a range there from strange to weird to cute to funny to creepy, And that's good because then it allows people to personalize the experience. You can ask a question, what is that like to you? What does that remind you of? What are you thinking when you hear that? What do you think? What do you think? So it elicits all kinds of sharing opportunities, discussion about the sounds. But let's get back to the music for a second. So I had everybody first I introduced the instruments. I showed them how to play them because, of course, you don't want to do, you're not going to pull this way. So I said, you turn it or do this, or you can hold it and twist this. So as I'm introducing the instruments, I show people how to play, and then I pass them around. And everybody gets a turn to play them, and we just go around and kind of keep going around while we're making sure people have what they need. If they have any questions, I'm monitoring everything as I see people choosing an instrument. I also keep them moving. Sometimes people will hang on to an instrument, and then they'll get another instrument, and they'll just pass. They'll hang on to the one they like, and they'll just pass the new one. So I look at all those things and try to keep everything moving and make sure people have the information and skills they need and help people if they need it. But then we're really making music at that point, so I'll probably play a beat or we might even play a song that they already know and then layer in all these instruments on top of it. We also, I'm just thinking back a few days ago when I did this session, these instruments lend themselves very well to what we call soundscapes or ambient sound. So those refer to music that it's not a song, it's not necessarily in rhythm, it's just kind of like nature sounds, like an environment, right? Which is another benefit. You don't have to play all these things to a rhythm. There's no expectation of right and wrong, right? That's just holding. I mean, as long as you're holding it in a way that's safe for you and the instrument, and nobody's getting hurt, then the rest is up to you. And we can use these instruments in ways that are new, that are novel, that are creative, and create these moods. So I suggested at one point, let's play the forest, or nature sounds or whatever. I know some of these maybe sound like more like a swamp than the forest, but however you want to phrase it, that we call that referential, right? Or referential music making, where we're referring to something and then playing music to that referent point, to that referent. That's an option. Or you could just play and see what people come up with and then kind of debrief and ask individuals what they were imagining, what was that music for? What did you imagine when you were hearing that? What was that music like for you? Did that bring up any memories? And if so, what were they? Or what were you imagining when you heard that? Could be something, totally new. So asking those kinds of questions after playing with instruments like these can be a new experience for you and each other, and these are all points for not only self-expression by your participants, or what we call self-disclosure, right? Talking about your own thoughts and feelings, but also to hear what other people in the group are saying, and then kind of connect with them on that, right? So when other group members will express something, a thought, feeling, emotion, that helps bonding. It helps people understand each other, which is also a really, it's a byproduct. I wouldn't even call it a byproduct, though. I think that is the product. That's kind of more about that than about the music making. However, I'm there to be, the music guy. the music therapist in this case. But, you know, if you're a music educator, if you're doing community music making, casual, you know, just music making in general, or you want to do something like a retreat and a certain event at a retreat, and you want to kind of steer people in a certain direction with the music making experience, you could do that with this kind of idea. Now, other instruments that I've used in this, I would say in this space, like the humor or kind of funny sound space, include pet toys like dog. There's tons of dog toys, right? Squeaky toys, sound effects. There's metallic sounds. There's wind whistles. I didn't have any wind whistles today, and we're masked. We're wearing masks still in the session, so I can't do anything that has to do with, you know, playing a whistle. But think about, there's instruments that you rub together, or there's two of them and you just kind of like sandpaper blocks or something, you rub them together. There's instruments that are more percussive. There's instruments that make sound in all different ways. In fact, this one is a wind instrument, but instead of blowing into it, it has this little, I don't even know what that's called. The actuator. Let's go to the overhead again. So yeah, it has this. So people play it this way. They can tap their leg. They can also just hold it still and. See, and just now, I mean, I'm finding out new ways to play it. So lots of opportunities there. So think about that. There's ways that you can combine instruments to make a weird sound. For example, if you have a frame drum or paddle drum, you could put something in it. Carefully. I mean, you don't want to put too much where it could, like rice or something, where it could fly all over the place. But if you put like a little, I don't know, a stone or two or marble or something inside the drum, you can roll it around, you can tap on it and it'll vibrate. You can combine instruments and make sound effects, including things like this, like bundled sticks, just playing them in a different way. All right, so I think I've covered just about everything that I wanted to cover, but let's just review some of the benefits of using instruments like this. Also, I didn't talk about cost. These are relatively inexpensive. They're just, you can go to the party store. I picked up some of these when I was traveling. I think these are from Mexico. This is a Brazilian whistle. You can order this online. That's an Acme sparrow call, or yeah, you can look these up. Look this one up, the little red one. Toy stores. So if you're out shopping, sometimes I found things at like flea markets, farmers markets. Sometimes there's people with instruments or whistles, different kinds of sound makers. There's online. Lark in the Morning is a good resource for online shopping for interesting sounds. So and then if you want more, you can message me directly. So inexpensive, portable. Very, I put all these in a little bag. I still have room in this bag. I could put more in there. Super easy. Easy to handle, easy to share. The digital handling, fine motor skill control can be beneficial if that's a goal area. And even if it's not, it's just interesting, I think, to to jam on instruments that are just literally like handheld size, right? So you could do a standing circle and jam out. One of my teachers called it pocket music or jamming, like literally said, reach into your pockets and find something, or your purse or your bag. Reach into your pockets, purse or bag, and pull out one thing and let's jam. And it could be anything, right? Paper, like $100 bill, which I always have in my pocket. It could be keys, Tic Tac bottle, money, like anything, pen, clicking a pen. So, you could start with that even if you don't have the instruments. You could start with pocket jamming, pocket music. Opportunities for humor, for laughter, for accompanying a story, for making referential music, based on something, for imagination, what's happening, where are we going? There's all kinds of opportunities that you can create just by bringing a few little instruments and then introducing them into an experience. The last thing, the closing, is that if you want to bring people, let's say you've been doing some drumming and the music's been louder and more vigorous, and you want to kind of calm things down a little bit. so you're not sending people off overly stimulated, right? That could be an issue. We want to have a closing, want to have an ending to the session that feels however you want it to feel, but I like to have something that kind of brings people back down into more of a calm state, not just go up and up and up and up and then see you later. So I want to have something that feels like a closing. And I always really I end with the same song. It's like a Aloha Oi. So I do use a goodbye song, and I want something that's going to transition into that. So I'm always thinking a little bit ahead. You know, what do we want to be doing 5 minutes before the ending? Because our song takes a minute. So I need to be thinking about what are we doing starting 5 minutes before the very end. And then maybe something like this would be a great, you know, if you've introduced it already, you can just, let's go back to our instruments and play something and close our eyes. And I actually did that the other day. I said, close your eyes. Let's play for 2 minutes. No talking. Just listen and play and add in a little, you know, of your instrument whenever you feel it's appropriate. And we'll play for 2 minutes. All right. And sometimes I do have to remind people, and this is not about this subject, but sometimes I do have to remind people, let's do this without talking, you know, and it just kind of remind people to not narrate, because a lot of people will make music. I mean, you know these people, maybe it's even you or somebody you know, and they'll be playing music, but then the whole time they're like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I like the way that sound, you know, and you're just like, let's just play and not, you know, because when somebody's talking, not only is that's not music making, it kind of they interfere with each other. You can't hear what they're saying and you can't hear the music. But also, I think just talking, you know, takes us out of the musical experience. I like to try to make some space for a pure musical experience without the narration and the commentary, because I just feel like the narration and the commentary pull people out of the music mindset, the music space, because then you have to listen and decode what somebody's saying. What does they say? What are they? Huh? Do I need to hear this? You know, and it just puts you. It splits you. It splits the music stuff with the communication of language and decoding of what are they talking about. And then it also might make people feel like they need to respond to the person who's narrating or or you know, doing the commentary, I guess is the word. So sometimes I'll just say, like, let's not talk for 2 minutes, you know. And that's also an opportunity for people to exercise impulse control, and it's also an opportunity for you, if you're a facilitator of music, therapist, educator, to see, you know, how people do with that. Can they even do that? Some people can't. They can't stop. It's okay. All right. So that's going to wrap up this this video. I appreciate you guys being patrons. I hope that you are getting a lot out of your patronage here, and that you're having some success with some of the tools and ideas that I'm giving you. So thank you again, and thanks for being at the courses or private lesson tiers. There's going to be more coming your way. I appreciate you guys, and leave your questions, and actually leave your comments below this post. But if you have a question, as always, just message me directly, all right, if you can. All right, enjoy, you guys. I'll see you later.